Hi, everybody. Today we have with us Padmanabhan Girinathan Nair. We call him Paddy. Paddy is a sustainability professional working as a director with one of the big four sustainability consulting firms. He has nearly 30 years of experience in the profession of sustainability. He also worked as an environmental engineer with Pollution Control Board of State of Kerala and also as sustainability professionals with many other global sustainability consulting firm. Besides his sustainability profession, he is also a hobbyist wildlife photographer and nature enthusiast who has traveled to many forests and mountains of India, North America, and Africa. He is also a passionate bike rider who has rode to Western Ghats and mountains of Himalayas. Besides all these, today we have him because he is one of the characters of my recently published book, Pseudo Ecotourism in the Shadow of the Bengal Tiger. Paddy had a very fascinating childhood as his late father was a forest department veterinary doctor working with Kerala Forest Department, which had provided him opportunity to interact closely with nature and wildlife. Paddy, I have seen actually that your level of maturity as an eco-tourist, whenever we have traveled together, Boxa is not the only one place we have traveled together, there are many other places. And I have always admired your ecotourism maturity, and probably that is much more than me. If we count the number of days spent in forest in last 10 years, probably it would be much more than you, what I have spent purely as a hobbyist wildlife photographer or as a writer of this book. But still, I have noticed that you have a different level of perception as an eco-tourist and a different level of maturity as an eco-tourist. So do you have any kind of message for eco-tourists or future eco-tourists which can be helpful for them in terms of their behavior in forest?
All right. Okay, Arnab, I have to make a confession. Okay.
Okay.
You're asking the question to a wrong person. Your title for the book is apt. You describe typical tourist behavior, and it was an introspection for me.
Mhm.
I had been that person at many occasions. I rode motorbike through eco-sensitive areas like Ladakh, or drove my SUV to wildlife sanctuaries, leaving my carbon footprint.
Mhm.
And I'm opposite of a true eco-tourist who is a responsible traveler. So I don't pretend to be one. I am a typical pseudo eco-tourist. However, the more you explore and understand it, I learn and try to do things better next time. Until recently, I never did serious photography. I normally enjoy the experience of being in the wild rather than try to capture it. But once I started taking photographs inspired by you. I broke your camera, while we were in the Delhi. So that was my, first serious photography trip. But once I started, using photography or doing photography as a hobby, I noticed that I have become more observant and alert uh, having a camera with me than when I was without one. Uh, so that basically changed my love for the wild. And as you mentioned, anything can be my subject. Small plants, flowers, butterflies, trees of different shapes. The beautiful lighting when you drive through do a jungle safari in the morning or in the evening. So a lot of things actually you started noticing, and while you are doing photography. So having taken up that hobby definitely enhanced my experience of the wild. However, it becomes a little stressful also, to get the best shot. And if you don't get the best shot, there is disappointment, which is the case with me most of the time. So I kind of now I mix both of them. Sometimes I take my camera, sometimes I don't. I take my binoculars with me,
Mhm.
so that I can see these birds or other things clearly and identify them. So while you are in the forest, you are experiencing things, learning things. So having a hobby is probably, don't just go to forest just to see one big animal, like a tiger, or a lion or an elephant, and then if you don't see it, you become disappointed. That is not the way ecotourism should be experienced. You basically go out, experience everything. That will make you a better ecotourist, I would say.
No, that's an excellent perception and point of view, Paddy. That do not go to the forest with an expectation to see a particular animal. Do not go to the forest in expectation to get your best images, because you may get disappointed at the end of the day. But if you go with much more open mind, then probably you'll be more enlightened from what nature has to offer to us. So this is the book Pseudo Ecotourism in the Shadow of the Bengal Tiger. This is one of the key message which I also try to convey to my readers. And Paddy, you are one of those few people who read the manuscript of this book before even it was submitted to publisher. So do you have any specific takeaway from this book which you'd like to tell to the readers of this book or the future readers of this book?
So, Arnab, you are talking about this inclusive ecotourism in your book, right? And I actually like that concept,
Mhm.
uh, because the ecotourism does not require you to travel to top wildlife sanctuaries to see very specific species, say like tiger. You don't need to plan a big, trip to say Masai Mara, so you can see the migration. You can see a lot of interesting things, in the area where you stay, or maybe a few hours drive from where you stay. For example, Bangalore has so many places, Western Ghats around Bangalore, that you can basically do a day trip and have enjoy the forest. And this will basically uh, help the environment by reducing your carbon footprint, also help the local communities who are relying on forest for their livelihood. A good example, I can say, you also experience that, is the Kerala ecotourism,
Yeah,
where most of the guides are rehabilitated poachers or forest dwellers.
right,
I think you did the tiger trail in Peria, right?
right.
With some of those guys. And recently, I was in Chinar Wildlife Sanctuary, and we went to we had a trek through the forest, and the guide was a person who was living in the forest, but then because of the forest department's policies, he was moved from the forest to a colony outside the forest. So this basically gives them the employment to take us around that forest. So it actually helps them, and also it gives us more human touch, or I would say, we are helping we feel that we are helping the community also while we are doing the tourism. So I like that concept of inclusive ecotourism. On a personal note, I basically take away for me is to visit all the sanctuaries that you described in the book. Of course, not to have a tick in the box or not to become the most important person in the room, but to experience different things. So No, thanks again, Arnab, for having this podcast and making me part of this book.
No, I mean, pleasure is all mine, Paddy. To I mean, no, in many ways, not just having you in this podcast, but also being a companion for me in many of my ecotourism activities in various part of the subcontinent, and also giving me an opportunity to illustrate your character in this book, which actually adds a lot of value. And the message which you have conveyed today, that having a hobby, the strength of a hobby, but at the same time not getting carried away by the hobby, not getting stressed out actually with the pressure of getting your best images, or with an objective of seeing your one particular animal in the forest, but rather than having an open mind, and then you can actually get the most out of the hobby which you have developed, and which personally you have become, as you have said, that you have become more observant after after picking up this hobby of wildlife photography and ecotourism. And that is actually, Paddy, one of the main message which I wanted to convey through this book, upholding the importance of hobby. And I'll just read one paragraph from this book, which kind of resonate exactly what you try to convey to the readers of this book. So this is from the page 4 preamble section of the book, Pseudo Ecotourism in the Shadow of the Bengal Tiger. An ordinary human who takes part in ecotourism or clicks pictures of nature and her rare flora and fauna, despite not being a wildlife expert, helps in dispersing the splendors of nature and wildlife among many other ordinary humans who haven't yet experienced these. This makes the hobbies of ecotourism and wildlife photography powerful influencers in promoting the concept of nature-based solution, the solution to save the planet, which is hidden within nature herself. All we need is to let such hobbies become inclusive so that the beneficial impacts are bestowed equally upon all living life forms, not just on one single species. Let us together embrace an inclusive ecotourism where every human and non-human life form have equal place. And let us discard the pseudo ecotourism from this beautiful planet we call home.